Hi, boys and girls. We are going to finish up our chapter with pictographs using the information that we've learned on how to read and make graphs to solve and answer questions in real world scenarios. Let's get started. Okay, so real world problems using pictographs. Here we have an example of a pictograph and some questions and answers that you can come up with when you use a pictograph. Now I see this one here doesn't have a title, so we're going to have to figure out what it is we're looking at based on the symbols and the questions that they ask. So the next thing we always check for is the key. What are we looking at? What do these symbols represent? So this says each. This looks like a little stamp stands for 3 stamps. So each picture of a stamp stands for 3 stamps. So we have a ratio or a scale of 1 to 3. Read the first question. It says, Andy has the most stamps. Look over here at Andy. It looks like we're looking at Andy, John, Kristen, Leon, and Susan. They're our friends. These must be stamp collectors. There are 8 symbols for Andy. So if each symbol stands for 3 stamps, we have 8 times 3, or this looks like the reverse, 3 times 8, which is 24 stamps. Andy has the most stamps with 24 stamps in all. Right? Our next question is talking about Susan. Now let's look at Susan's column here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols for Susan. And if each symbol stands for 3 stamps, we have 6 times 3, or the reverse is 3 times 6. Susan has 18 stamps. So we can take that information that we know about Susan and her 18 stamps, and we can answer some questions. This says that Susan, out of those 18 stamps, 6 of them are from Brazil. The rest are from the United States. So we take the information, 18 stamps in all, which we had to figure out by doing the multiplication. She had 6 symbols, each stood for 3 stamps, so we knew she had 18 stamps in all, but we take away the 6 that were from Brazil, and we're left with 12 stamps from the United States. So you can see, taking this information from the pictograph can help you answer all sorts of questions. We're going to go right into the let's practice. The best way for you guys to figure out how to use these pictographs in real world problems or scenarios is just to get in there and practice with them. So let's do one together. This graph shows the number of bottles of drinks sold on a Monday. So just one day of the week. We have a nice title here, bottles of drinks sold. To be more specific, on Monday only. So these are the types of drinks we have. They're labeled for us: apple juice, grape juice, milk, water, orange juice. And our key says that each of these green rectangles stands for 4 bottles. So symbol is a 1 to 4 scale, a ratio of 1 to 4. For every green symbol, we have 4 bottles. So the first question asks, how many bottles of grape juice were sold? So I'm going to put a text box right over our answer there. Here's our grape juice. I'm going to count how many symbols we have in the grape juice column. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had 4 symbols. Each symbol is worth 4. So 4 groups of 4 equals 16. On Monday, 16 bottles of grape juice were sold. Number 2 asks, which was the most popular drink? So I can interpret that sentence, that question, into saying the most popular drink would probably be the one that has the most sold. So if I look back up at our pictograph, I'm going to scan over these categories, and I'm going to notice that the most amount of symbols is over here for orange juice. It has 1 more symbol than water, so it means it sold 4 more than water. All right, so I'm going to put OJ. in that one. That was the most popular drink because we had the most symbols in that one. Okay, so number 3 says 11 girls bought orange juice. How many boys bought orange juice? What do we have to do to solve this problem? With some of the questions, you're going to have a multi-step problem here. That's what we have to do. First, in order to answer this question, we have to figure out how much orange juice was even sold on Monday. So let's take a look. Back up to the orange juice row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols are there. And if each green rectangle symbol stands for 4 bottles of orange juice, that tells us that they sold 24 bottles of orange juice on Monday. Okay, we're not done. That just tells us how many orange juice bottles were sold. Now we have to take those 24 bottles of orange juice and we have to take out the amount that were sold to girls. The question tells us 11 were sold to girls. So that leaves us with the amount of bottles that were sold to boys. 13 bottles were sold to boys. I'm going to move this up and get it out of the way. We have a similar problem down here for number 4. It says 16 girls bought grape juice. How many boys bought the grape juice? In order to answer that question, first we have to find out how much grape juice was sold in the first place. We already actually did that in question number 1. It said how many bottles of grape juice were sold. So that kind of takes one of the steps away from us if we're thinking about what we've already learned from the picture graph. So just taking a multi-step problem and condensed it back down to 1 step if I'm using the information I already know. So we know that there were 16 bottles of grape juice sold on Monday. 16 of them were bought by girls. How many boys bought grape juice? 0 boys bought grape juice. 16 of those bottles were sold to 16 girls. Number 5, 1 bottle of water costs $2. How much did the store owner make by selling water? Well, in order to answer this question, we have to find out how much water was sold on Monday. Let's go back up and read our picture graph. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rectangles, so 5 symbols for water. Each symbol stands for 4 bottles sold. 5 times 4 is 20 bottles of water. But that doesn't answer our question yet. This is a 2-step story problem. Now, since we have 20 bottles of water and each bottle is worth $2, this is a multiplication problem. Why? Because we are talking about, sorry, I've got the wrong button pressed here, groups. Each bottle is sold as a group of 2, so it's another multiplication. So 20 bottles times $2 a piece, that store owner made $40 by selling water on Monday. For number 6, this is something you guys would be able to, all the questions, all the answers are going to be different because we all have different questions that we might want to ask about this picture graph. I thought of some more questions that we could ask here. What was the least drink that was sold on Monday? So if I look back up on our graph, we could tell that orange juice was the bottle that was most popular. Least popular was the apple juice because it has the fewest number of symbols on the picture graph. Another question I thought about was if 6 girls bought milk, how many milks were sold to boys? Let's do that one. Let's talk about milk. In this picture, we have 3 symbols for milk. Each symbol is worth 4 bottles. That means we had 12 bottles sold altogether. And out of those 12 bottles, 6 were sold to girls, which means 6 bottles were also sold to boys. All right. And that is the end of our lesson today. You are going to work on, I'm going to clear those off. Your homework is going to start with your Math and Focus workbook, volume 2B, starting on page 199. Now, the end of this lesson, the practice number 3, actually ends on page 194. Past that, there are some other pages that you can work on. Putting on your thinking cap is an extra challenging practice if you're up for it. Here's some more of that question. And then finally, you have your chapter review / test. This will help you to have a little bit additional practice, and it'll be a recall, testing what you have learned from this past chapter. All right, if you have any questions, please contact your teacher or myself. Thank you.